that we would readily adopt for ourselves because there was a lot of suffering in them. But he begins with this, the writer of Hebrews in Hebrews 11. Now faith is confident in what we hope for. I want to make the argument that hope itself, and Alice alluded to this, is God's work inside of you. The fact that you don't give up, because love always does persevere. And it says, confident in what we hope for, assurance about what we do not yet see. And this is what the ancients were commended for. In the midst of our pain and our suffering, the audacity of our faith to keep going in hope and keep going in action and assurance. And that's exactly what you're doing today by giving us a call.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we're going to send you a copy of Take Back Your Life, or Take Your Life Back. And I want you to consider attending the Emotional Freedom Workshop. That, online workshops are effective. And it could be the one thing, David, that kickstarts you in the right direction. And we're all going to be praying for David as well. And I know that there is hope for his future, and we're so glad you called. We are continuing to take calls, 1-800-229-3000, but right now we're going to talk to Mary, who's calling us from Portland, Oregon, listens on KGNW. Hi, Mary. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi, Mary. I'm calling because yesterday I was listening to your program regarding mother-in-laws and biting their tongues around their daughter-in-laws, I think is what it was.
Well, we had adult children conversations, that's for sure.
That's right. So I'm calling with something that's very heavy. I would like, my question, what I'm going to put out first, is where is the balance between biting your tongue and not biting your tongue? Now, I'd like to tell you the reason why. My son, he dated a gal for a little while. She was one personality. He loved her so much. He wanted to marry her, and I thought, oh, that's great. About a couple weeks before the wedding, I noticed a drastic change in this person's personality. And I thought maybe it's just the jitters or something. I'm not going to worry about it, that she's so insulting around me, and I'm quiet and peace about it. I love the Lord with all my heart, I got to tell you. And he is my Savior, and God reigns on the throne. These 9 years, I was quiet while she changed the dates. I mean, when we could get together for holidays, she changed what type of gifts we could do. We are no longer allowed to do regular gifts. They have to be gift cards. The rules never stopped, and I never stopped loving my son and being respectful to this woman because she was his wife, no matter what happened. I tried to walk in ways that I prayed about stuff. And as things went on, even Mother's Day, she was angry because they don't have any kids. But the very first Mother's Day, they got married in February. She wanted to go to the
We get it, Mary. It sounds...
Thank you.
It sounds very difficult.
Okay, great. After we got cut out of his life entirely, told that if we had anything to do with him at all, that he would commit suicide. We honored that for 1 year. We never did anything. And let me tell you something. His wife never called us once. And his mother and father-in-law never called us once. When he is a person who lit up the room when he walked in it. And he was under the care of a psychiatrist in this last, year or so, I guess, which was none of our business, really. And he died on July 13th by taking an entire bottle of the medications for depression and anxiety. His wife never contacted us, and we would have never, we didn't hear anything except to hear from his boss at work wondering where he was at. When we called our daughter, she told us what had happened, but he wasn't dead yet. And that daughter-in-law never contacted us until over 24 hours later, and we walked into a corpse being kept alive, but being pumped by machines. And that's not a lie, let me assure you. He died
Mary,
2 hours
listen,
later.
You can hear the music. Your story is heartbreaking, and we want to help you when we come back. what you have experienced is unspeakable, and our hearts go out to you, and we want to give you that support that is so important. It is such a challenge when people take advantage of our willingness to go along. We'll be right back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle Workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, August 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It's Becky Brown with Dr. Alice Benton and Chris Williams, and we are taking your calls today, 1-800-229-3000. And right now we're talking to Mary, and Mary has had a heartbreaking, just devastation that has come into her family. Mary, we're going to start with Alice, and we just can't say enough how devastating this is. We hear your pain, we do, and it's unbelievable. And I know that sometimes when we're in those early stages of grief, it's just overwhelming. On top of the just the unhealthy relationship that preceded it with your daughter-in-law. But let's hear from Alice.
Mary, we are honored that you would trust us at this time to call us to ask for help and to share this raw pain with us. And so we thank you for that. And we want to do everything we can to help you in this brief amount of time we have. I can't grasp how devastating it might have been to you to hear yesterday that you're supposed to keep your mouth shut. And I will say that advice, which is great advice in most situations, may not exactly apply to your situation. There must be so many things that you need and want to say to your daughter-in-law. And you have every right to feel anger, hatred, whatever it is that is stirring in your heart. Any of that would make sense given this nightmare that you have been living through and the very recent loss of your son. With whatever it is that you want to say to her, Mary, what is your hope of what will happen if you speak your heart to her?
My intention, first of all, I don't hate her. I pray the blood of Jesus over her, that she will accept Jesus into her heart. I don't hate her. My purpose in calling even was so that, you guys are a fantastic organization, but to let you know that there is another side of listeners out there who may be in my situation or have my situation a few months back. God's got this. I know he does. But that while you're telling the people, bite their tongues, as I did bite my tongue. I didn't really bite my tongue. Sometimes I would just go away and pray. Sometimes I would pray immediately. But But if you could offer advice to people who may be in similar lifestyle situations where they're trying to walk the way that they are supposed to, and yet it's a very destructive thing. There were lots of people praying about this situation, and God is bigger than the boogeyman. I guess that's the biggest point I have to say, but just that if you have something to speak out to these other people who may be in my previous situation about biting tongues, because there is balance.
Mm-hmm. And so what you're pointing out is that the general principle has to be taken in a case-by-case basis at times in situations like yours, because you may run out of time. And so sometimes it is necessary to speak, even as it disrupts the peace or it goes against what your child has asked of you. Sometimes you must speak up because it's a life and death situation. And Mary, what would you want to say to your daughter-in-law now?
I know she would reject it because of things that she's just said regarding services. She rejects God in all ways. May the peace of the Lord Jesus Christ come through you and in you and with you. May He envelop your soul so that you know the goodness of God and that your soul might be saved. That's what I would pray.
You want to give her a blessing. In this time of deepest grief, that's the desire of your heart. And I believe you, because I believe that's your faith pouring out of you. And I think you're right to expect that she may reject that, and you may be emotionally, verbally slapped for saying that to her. Mary, I would suggest that perhaps you write it rather than saying it to her face. But it is a generous, unmerited gift to give her a blessing at this time.
Let's hear from Chris.
Well, I hear the pain, I hear the hurt, and the hurt creates a sensitivity in us, reasonably. And so when we hear things that pile on the hurt, something like, don't say anything or keep don't have a voice, that can really sting. And my deepest encouragement, Mary, is just to continue on your grief, healing, and growth process.
Okay.
And I hope, Mary, in that process, you have conversations in a therapeutic setting with your son, imagining he's there, with your daughter-in-law, imagining she is there. We call it an empty chair technique, where we put the person in our imagination, we put them in a chair in the room, and we say in an unfiltered way everything we needed to say but didn't have the chance, or they wouldn't listen. It's surprisingly therapeutic to do that, both with the guidance of a counselor and in a spiritual sense, to do the prayer work involved in it.
Right. Yeah. It's wonderful. Well, we'll be praying for you, Mary, and in your continued recovery. We're going to send you a copy of the Grief Recovery Workbook, which I think will help you along that pathway. And, we are aware that not every answer goes to every situation. And I appreciate you calling in to clarify that. And what I would encourage you, listener, if you've heard something ever on our show that you say, that doesn't quite fit with me, what I would encourage, go the next step and ask a counselor, even do what Mary just did, give us a call back and say, hey, that didn't fit for me. And let's talk about it, because I totally agree. Each one of us are complex. The problems are complex. And good therapists are really well aware of the fact that it's not one size fits all. And so we are just grateful that you called, Mary. We're going to be praying for you and your family, and are so sorry for this devastation. That's why we're doing the Courageous Parents Workshop. It's going to be online in August. Friday's the last day. You can save some money if you sign up. But, maybe you've got a challenge with your adult son or daughter. We can help you. We'll be right back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I'm going to reiterate what you just said, Terry Mack. We are taking your calls for the next hour and a half, 1-800-229-3000. We hear from so many people that say this is, the first step in many to have their new life. And I just want to encourage you, if you're struggling with something today, if you get a relationship issue or even a personal issue, we can help you get on the right path home. Now, Alice, you had another comment you were thinking about as far as the grief and just regarding Mary's call.
Well, as Christians, we can feel pressured to forgive so quickly that even as soon as there's a devastating loss like this, that we have to forgive right away, and we have to act as if we feel the forgiveness. Not necessarily Mary, but a lot of us feel that pressure. And I want to give us the permission that although of course we should choose forgiveness as quickly as possible, the deep process of forgiveness includes being angry and expressing that anger and feeling it towards God, perhaps, towards the perpetrators in our life. And that doesn't exclude forgiveness. It's actually a necessary part of the deep forgiveness process.
Yeah, and we teach this all the time, that forgiveness is not about the other person or about the situation. It really is for our own freedom. And that's a very, it's a different concept to really kind of take in when you're in the throes of grief or when you're in the throes of a challenging relationship, but it is the way to freedom. Thanks for that, Alice. That's a really great point. We're going to go to Linda, who's calling us from Kansas City and listens on One Place. Hi, Linda. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So thanks for taking my call. It's interesting that I just called, that you just had a call about mother-in-laws, because that's what my call is, about my mother-in-law. And my question is, I'm just trying to figure out how to balance our relationship, and I just need some advice. She hates my guts, is how I feel. My husband and I have been married for 5 years. 3 years ago, I caught him in several affairs, and she noticed right away because he's one of 4 boys. We have a son who's just turned 2, and I stopped coming around. I was depressed, didn't know what to do, and she, started asking questions, and so I was going to be honest with her. We're Christians. We were really good friends, close, hung out, did things together, all the stuff that you would dream a mother-in-law could be, just because you're a new part of that family, right? And when she found out, she's like, and I put him out because he wouldn't stop. Like, I've got boundaries. We're going to work on this. You need to go get help or think about what you want. And she found out, and she was like, that's just rude. You're not a good, real Christian. You don't do these types of things. You're no good of a mother. You're my poor grandson.
Well,
you're ashamed to the family, just all these different things, right?
Yeah. So, Linda, how can we help you? What's the question
from?
that you have for us?
Well, my question is, for the past 8 months, we've been, renewing our relationship, coming over and things like that, and she's appalled that I'm around the family. Like, why is she here? She even would leave, get up for Mother's Day dinner and 4th of July and all these things. And she'd just get up and walk out of the room and she'd tell them,
so Linda, hold on. Linda,
what are we going to do?
Linda, I got to jump in. Because I see a much bigger issue. Mm-hmm. And it may not be an issue. I just don't know. But you said you and your husband are reconciling?
Yes.
What has he done?
He was unfaithful.
Yeah, he's unfaithful. But what has he done to repair?
Oh, that's a good question.
What has he done to repair the relationship?
So he's come clean. He's talked about, what he was going through, and just that. I would say typical. He wasn't happy. We were stressed out. Finances, this and that and the other.
So he revealed to you all of the excuses of why he had an affair.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a repair.
Right. Okay.
That's excuse making.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Here's my concern.
I agree with that.
Here's my concern, friend. Until he does the deeper work and full ownership of what's happened, because that's part of the deeper work, is like, hey, I have all these stressful things in my life, and I chose really, really poorly in response to all those stressful things in my life, right? That severely damaged the heart of the person I've committed my life to, and destroyed trust. That's a process to get repaired. Trust has to be rebuilt. The heart has to mend. And that I don't want to impose a process on others, but I don't want you to neglect because I'm thinking, the mother-in-law, his mom, has been horrible to you. Why would you want to be around her? Because there's something inside of you that keeps getting drawn into something that hurts you, but you still want to reconcile it even though the other side doesn't want to. And they're dangerous.
And Chris, to that point, what I was thinking is that your mother-in-law is probably feeling the shame of her son. And the fact, and so your willingness to go back in, she can't stand it, which is odd, I know, but shame makes us feel all kinds of weird things. But I agree with Chris in that, Linda, there's a lot of work that has to be done to heal you guys. But let's hear from Alice as well.
Linda, I suspect that your mother-in-law is projecting something about herself and her life onto you. And so although it feels like she hates your guts and she's treating you that way, people that are ignorant to boundaries or don't see the value in them or don't accept them are very destabilized by somebody else's healthy boundaries. It was a good thing for you to tell your husband he had to leave if he wouldn't get help. That was appropriate and that was right. But for someone who doesn't have boundaries in their own life, it's terrifying to see that happen. It's terrifying to see her son struggling. But she may not be able to accept that he's struggling because of the choices he's making. And your action was a good consequence to impart, to enact in order to protect yourself and to protect your son. And so it doesn't ameliorate the pain of how she is treating you, but to have compassion because she is ignorant apparently about boundaries. And I would guess she has felt the pain of infidelity somewhere in her own life. And infidelity tends to be
right there and tell you about that.
Yes.
Yes. So she's on her third marriage, and he's one by one. Her first husband, the two middle kids by her second husband, and then she's been 26 years with her third husband. And when I told her, I did tell her about the affair. She was like, "Something's wrong with you. What's going on?" She was like, "I believe that he did this, but," she was like, "but he's a man, so you kind of need to just leave him alone and let him go through this, right?" And what she told me that I was no good about the putting out, she also said, I was like, "Hey, I thought you would understand," because we have that type of a relationship where we could talk. And we weren't talking about our intimate things as a husband and wife, but we were still like girls and women. And I said, I thought maybe you would understand because of, this is your third marriage. And she was very open. I never brought that stuff up. She was very open with how relationships went in her life and her hurts and her abuse and these types of things. And her other sons are very happily married, who also said, be safe, Linda, get out. And
so Linda,
and her nephew. And
let me jump in. So to Alice's point, you were able to do what she couldn't.
Yes.
And she hates you for that.
Yes. It's kind of like if I'm overweight and I see somebody who's making all the right choices and they're losing weight, it just drives me crazy and I can't stand them and they're so annoying to me. And the example isn't sufficient for the pain that you're going through. But when we're engaged in the unhealthy behavior, we can't stand the people that are engaged in the healthy behavior. And it's a problem within us. And so you may need to lovingly point this out to your mother-in-law and explain that as she continues to treat you this way, you're going to have to protect your heart and you're going to have to keep a distance from her. But I think the onus is on your husband that if he truly wants to reconcile with you and he actually does the work to reconcile, not just the surface level confession, then he's the one that needs to do the work with your mother-in-law and be protective of you and defensive of you and what you did with him.
Well, and I would say, we're so glad you called, Linda. I would encourage you to make the bold move and say, hey, you've come this way. How about you go to Every Man's Battle? We're going to be doing an online version in August. It would be a great step for him. It's also going to set in motion the correct way to heal, yes. Like Chris was saying. Yep. You don't want to just feel like everything's okay. You want to know that we've done the work. And that's going to have a ripple effect on all the relationships around you, including your mother-in-law. And we would, of course, encourage you to go to Restore as well, where you're going to find support. That's going to be later this year. But we're going to send you a copy of Intimate Deception, Healing Your Heart, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal. I think that'll give you some insight into all of these things that are going on. But we're glad you called. We're going to continue to take calls after this, 1-800-229-3000, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply, I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, August 20th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie McHarris will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are continuing to take your calls, 1-800-229-3000. And I know some of you who are listening are like, oh, they don't really have time for me. Yes, we do. We have some time for you. And I also know, I hear from people from time to time who just say, oh, I just didn't feel like I should call in because somebody might know me. Well, you can call yourself whatever you want. And I guarantee that your loved ones won't ever hear you.
You can even do an accent. We like accents here.
Oh, my gosh, Alice, I can't believe you just said that.
Well, have Alice say Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'll go into my oofta.
There you go. Well, with all of this frivolity, you know that we can hear your pain. So give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Now, here's someone who does not bring me pain, and that's Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, what do you have for us today?
Well, you mentioned at the end of that call the online workshop coming up next week, Saturday, the 5th of August.
Courageous Parents.
Every Man's Battle.
Every Man's Battle. That's right. We got a few of them in August, don't we?
Yeah, then Courageous Parents, then Emotional Freedom. We got 3 in a row, 3 Saturdays in a row. But this one, Every Man's Battle, I want short testimony and encourage folks to support us financially because of what we do, and encourage men to come to this workshop. This guy says, I'm so grateful for the opportunity New Life provided me to be at this workshop. I was able to find the acceptance and connection that I've been longing for in my life. The men I met are now brothers, and I look forward to the things we will accomplish together. This allowed me to experience freedom from my shame in a way that I never expected. I mean, that's a big deal, freedom from your shame. It's also reopened the door to my relationship with Jesus Christ, my Savior. That's more powerful than the shame. I mean, they go together. But oh my goodness, if you get a renewed relationship with Christ, what could be better than that? And then he just says, thank you, New Life. So folks, thank us as well with a gift, if you would, just to say we appreciate what you're doing, we believe in what you're doing, and what you're doing makes a difference. God blesses this. I just keep repeating myself day after day here. God's hand is on this ministry. The Holy Spirit is doing work. God gets the honor and the glory for all that happens through this work that we work at, through the radio program, the workshops, the counselors, through the publications and the things written. I mean, God is just doing all kinds of things. And it starts with your gift. Your gift is the first domino that has to fall for all these other things to go into effect. So thank you.
You know, and Larry, along that same line, I heard from a donor yesterday that said, you know, I give because I want somebody else to experience what I've experienced through New Life Ministries. And that's why we ask for your gifts, because it does make a difference and it changes people's lives, whether it's a workshop or a book or even just finding a counselor or coach. It can really make a difference. So we appreciate your gifts. Thankful for Club New Life members that give on a monthly basis. We're just so grateful for to be able to do what we do. Well, anything else, Larry?
Just thank you, everybody. So,
awesome. All right, we're going to go back to the calls, and we're going to talk to Becky, who's calling us from Bruton. I think that's how you say it, Alabama. And we're glad you called, Becky. How can we help you today?
Yes, I'm really frustrated because I relocated to Bruton, Alabama, January, which was 6 months after I got married. And I won't be married for a year until the end of this month. And I tell you, when I got my lawsuit, I paid off the home, put new garage door, put a new roof, new storm doors, new furniture in the living room, and a new French door refrigerator. And I'm not on the deed.
Oh,
in addition, I am married to a narcissist. I will get one question out or one statement and yelling, screaming, cursing, and now it's gotten to not only that, but physical abuse.
Oh, Becky.
And his way of not acknowledging his wrong. You know, for example, with this adjustment, I took a suggestion to seek out counseling, and it was a free consultation. And I talked about what was bothering me. And what I feared I knew what I had to do, but I feared being alone.
Well, Becky, listen, let me interrupt just for a second because we're almost to the end of the program, and I think we get a picture of what you're dealing with. And I want to hear from Alice and Chris so that maybe we can help you before we go to the end of the program. Go ahead, Alice.
Becky, what's your question for us about what you're going through? It's turned into a nightmare.
How do I have a conversation when I can't get a complete sentence out? Like when I was asked, what did you discuss with the therapist? I said that's private and twisted my arm.
So hold on. So Becky, I gotta jump in here. So hold on.
And beat me in my head.
Yeah. So it's the wrong question. You don't have a conversation with someone who is that dangerous and that abusive. You're with a very, very dangerous person, and your safety is of the utmost importance. Your well-being is way too valuable to be entrusted to his really, really destructive behavior. And so I want to encourage you to get safe by whatever means necessary. Now, there is a financial aspect, a fiduciary aspect to all of this that could be very well tied to your well-being. So I would also encourage you to get legal advice, to see what legal protections that you can get, but your physical and emotional protection is of what's most important right now.
In most parts of the country, there are shelters and women's shelters that can help you with all of these details that Chris is talking about. He's absolutely right, Becky. You need to be safe, and it's not okay for him to do any of that. And we want you to be safe. And, if you hold on, we will get you connected with somebody. We have our call center staff knows how to get connected with different facilities that help people throughout the country, because unfortunately we do hear situations of abuse. But Alice, before we end, do you have any words of encouragement for Becky at this time?
Well, when we're willing to go to the authority figures necessary in order to keep ourselves safe, and even sometimes pursuing a restraining order, sometimes involving the police, what a horrible thing to have to do with a new spouse, not even a year into the marriage. But sometimes that level of intervention brings about miraculous healing. But you need the safety first in order for any kind of conversation to be able to get through to a spouse who's in a situation like this. It's through consequences first, and then there's a potential for a listening ear down the road.
That's so true. We're so glad you called, Becky, and we're going to help you get connected to help. If you're listening today, we're taking calls, 1-800-229-3000, because we know there are situations that are so stressful in your life or causing you pain, like what we just heard today, and we can help you. We can get you pointed in the right direction. There is such a peace that can come into our lives as we work recovery, as we seek out help, but the first step is usually the hardest. And we're just so grateful for having resources, whether it's a book, whether it's a counselor or a coach or a workshop. And because in August we have so many online workshops, it is available and accessible. Thank you, Dr. Alice Benton and Chris Williams, and we're so glad for all of your wisdom. We're grateful for the listeners, and if you're online, hold on, because we're going to get to your calls as soon as we come back for the second program. If you need anything, call us. We are there for you, or check out newlife.com. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you. But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.